I don't need my phone. No, help.
Officer Morrison had no idea what he just walked into. In the next 6 hours, his entire career would end. 17 badges would be stripped. His city would face a $10 million lawsuit. The well-dressed man he just dragged from that car wasn't some random citizen. He was FBI Special Agent Marcus Troy, working undercover for the Civil Rights Division. Troy had spent 12 years investigating police corruption. He had 23 successful cases under his belt. His entire body was wired with federal recording equipment. Every word was captured. Every threat was documented. Every second of the assault was saved. And the backup units Morrison called, they were about to make it so much worse. Within hours, 8 federal agents would storm that police station with warrants. Before I continue, let me ask you, have you ever been treated unfairly by someone in power? Drop your answer in the comments. But Officer Morrison had no idea who he was screaming at through that car window. FBI Special Agent Marcus Troy was 38 years old. He worked for the Civil Rights Division in Chicago. He spent his career investigating police who break the law. He was really good at his job. Troy had been with the FBI for 12 years. Before that, he was a prosecutor in Cook County. He had a law degree from Georgetown University. He also worked as a public defender in Baltimore. He knew the law inside and out. He had won 23 federal cases against police officers. He was an expert in Fourth Amendment law. He had testified before Congress twice about police reform. He taught classes at the FBI Academy. Other agents called him the Closer because he never lost a case. Troy grew up on the south side of Chicago. He lost a cousin to police brutality in 2009. That's why he joined the FBI. He wanted to investigate departments that thought they were above the law. His boss picked him for this special job. He spent 3 weeks studying Deerfield Police Department. He found a pattern. Complaints kept disappearing. Officer Morrison's name appeared in 11 excessive force complaints over 4 years. Every single one was dismissed. On this October evening, Troy was just driving the speed limit. He was signaling his turns. He was waiting to see what these officers would do when they thought no one important was watching. Officer Jason Morrison had a reputation in Deerfield. It wasn't good. Morrison was 34 years old. He had worked for Deerfield Police for 9 years. He was still just a patrol officer. He never got promoted. He failed the sergeant's exam twice. Other officers knew he was trouble. 11 excessive force complaints in 4 years. Every single one involved a person of color. Every single one was dismissed by the department. The pattern was clear. In March 2023, he pulled over a college student. Morrison said the student didn't signal 100 feet before turning. The student was only 95 feet out. Morrison demanded to search the car. The student said no. Morrison called a drug dog and held the student for 47 minutes. The dog found nothing. The complaint was dismissed. In July 2023, a driver asked for Morrison's badge number. Morrison said that was disorderly conduct. He pulled the driver out of the car and hurt his shoulder. The body camera stopped working. No evidence meant no punishment. In January 2024, Morrison held a family at gunpoint for 12 minutes. 2 kids were in the back seat, ages 6 and 8. Morrison thought their car was stolen. It was. The parents hired a lawyer. The city paid them money to stay quiet. Morrison got 3 days off with pay. People at the station called him Cowboy Morrison. Everyone knew he was dangerous. Captain Reeves protected him every time. The union backed him up. Let me know in the comments if you've ever seen a pattern like this in your town. But on this night, Morrison's pattern was about to hit a wall. He had no idea. Thursday, October 17, 2024. The time was 6:47 p.m. Route 41 in Deerfield, Illinois. A quiet street lined with trees and nice homes. The speed limit was 35 miles per hour. It was getting dark. The temperature was 54 degrees. People were walking their dogs. Some were jogging on the sidewalk. just a normal Thursday evening. This was Troy's third evening driving this exact route. He rented a black Audi from the airport. He wore a business suit. Hidden recording equipment was in his tie clip and briefcase. The FBI office 4 miles away was getting a live feed. His backup team was at a coffee shop nearby. Everything was ready. Morrison and his partner Harris had been on patrol since 3 p.m. They spent 90 minutes driving up and down Route 41. 0 legitimate stops all evening. Morrison was getting restless. He complained about a slow night. At 6:47 p.m. exactly, Troy drove past Morrison's parked patrol car. Morrison saw a luxury car with out-of-county plates. He pulled out and started following. Troy drove exactly 35 miles per hour. He used his turn signal 150 feet before turning. He stopped completely at the stop sign for 3 seconds. He did everything perfectly. Morrison followed for 6 blocks. His partner asked what they were doing. Morrison said to just watch. Troy would slip up, but Troy didn't slip up. Morrison turned on his lights anyway. The time was 6:51 p.m. If stories like this matter to you, hit subscribe. Troy immediately signaled right. He pulled into a CVS parking lot under a bright light. He turned off the engine. He placed both hands on the steering wheel at 10 and 2. The FBI office was watching everything live. Morrison walked up to the driver's side window. Harris stood at the passenger side. Troy's hands stayed on the wheel. Morrison tapped the window with his flashlight. License and registration. Troy spoke calmly. Of course, officer, can I ask why you pulled me over? Just hand them over. Troy reached slowly for the glove box. He got the documents. I'd like to know the reason for the stop first. Morrison snatched the papers. Chicago, you're a long way from home. I had a business meeting in Lake Forest. What kind of business? Consulting. Can you tell me why I was stopped? You were weaving. Troy stayed calm. I wasn't weaving. I maintained the speed limit and signaled every turn. Morrison leaned closer. Are you arguing with me? No, sir. I'm just asking for clarification. The reason is I said so. Now get out of the car. I'd prefer to stay in my vehicle. Am I being detained or am I free to go? Morrison's face got red. You're being detained. On what grounds? Morrison stepped back. His hand went to his belt. Get out of the car. I have the right to know why I'm being detained. Morrison turned to Harris. We got a sovereign citizen here. Harris looked uncomfortable, but said nothing. Troy spoke again. I'm not a sovereign citizen. I'm exercising my Fourth Amendment rights. Morrison laughed. Your rights are whatever I say they are. I'd like to speak with your supervisor. Oh, you want to speak to my supervisor? Yes, please. Okay, sure. We can do this the hard way. I'm not trying to make this difficult. You're making this real difficult for yourself. Last chance, get out now. Troy stayed silent. His hands stayed on the wheel. A customer walked out of CVS. She stopped and pulled out her phone. She started recording. A car pulled into the lot. The driver watched. A resident across the street came onto his porch. Harris noticed. We got people watching. Morrison didn't care. He called for backup. Unit 12, requesting backup. Route 41 CVS. Non-compliant subject refusing lawful orders. Morrison waited 30 seconds. Troy didn't move. Morrison turned to the witnesses. Back away, this is police business. The customer kept recording. Morrison turned back to Troy. Final warning. I'm not resisting, I just want. Morrison's face changed, pure rage. He stepped back from the window. He made a fist. Harris said, Morrison, man, just. Morrison punched the window. Once. A crack appeared. Twice. The glass spiderwebbed. A third time, the window shattered. Glass exploded everywhere. Blood dripped from Morrison's knuckles onto the door. A witness screamed. Troy didn't move. He didn't flinch. The federal equipment captured every second. Morrison reached through the broken window. He unlocked the door from inside. He yanked it open hard. He grabbed Troy by his suit jacket collar. He pulled him from the driver's seat. Troy's head hit the door frame. You could hear the impact. Harris joined in. He grabbed Troy's arm. Both officers pulled Troy from the vehicle. Troy's body slammed onto the parking lot pavement. His cheek scraped the ground. Blood appeared on his face. Morrison yelled, "Stop resisting," but Troy hadn't resisted. He hadn't moved aggressively at all. Morrison put his knee in Troy's back. Harris twisted Troy's arm behind him. Too far. The angle wasn't natural. Troy showed pain but didn't fight. The federal equipment was still recording everything. 4 more patrol cars arrived within 3 minutes. Officers Ramirez, Chen, Patterson, and Willis got out. Captain Thomas Reeves arrived in an unmarked car. Reeves looked at the scene. Broken window, blood, Troy face down on the ground. Morrison was breathing hard. Sovereign citizen, captain, refused all lawful orders, aggressive behavior, suspected DUI. Troy had said maybe 15 words total, all of them polite. Reeves asked, did he blow? Morrison said, refused field sobriety. That was a complete lie. Troy was never asked to do a field sobriety test. Morrison was making up the story as he went. Reeves ordered them to search the car. Officers searched the Audi for 8 minutes. They found a briefcase with business documents, a laptop, a phone charger, a bottle of water, nothing illegal, 0 weapons, 0 drugs, 0 anything wrong. The car registration came back clean. It was a legitimate rental from Enterprise. Troy's license was valid, no warrants, clean record. Reeves looked confused. Morrison insisted. He was weaving, Captain, I saw it. But Morrison's camera wasn't on during the initial stop. There was no proof. 3 witnesses documented everything. Sarah Chen was a 29-year-old nurse. She recorded the whole window breaking on her iPhone. Later she told federal investigators the man in the car never moved, never yelled, never fought. The officer just started punching the window for no reason. It was terrifying. David Martinez was 52. He lived across the street. He watched from his porch. His Ring doorbell captured audio of everything. He said, I heard the officer screaming, then I heard glass breaking. The man being arrested was completely calm. This was wrong. Amanda Foster was 34. She was a real estate agent waiting in her car. She recorded from 20 feet away. She said, I thought I was watching someone get killed. The violence was immediate and unprovoked. The evidence was piling up. Troy's federal equipment sent 4 different video feeds to the FBI office. 3 civilians recorded on their phones. The CVS security camera caught it all. 2 Ring doorbells captured everything. But here's the thing, Harris's body camera wasn't turned on. He later said he forgot. Morrison's body camera had a malfunction. Later they proved he turned it off on purpose. Reeves made his decision. Take Troy to the station. Charge him with obstruction of justice, resisting arrest, and disorderly conduct. Troy said, I want to speak to a lawyer. Morrison smiled, you're gonna need one. They put Troy in the back of a patrol car. His hands were cuffed behind his back. His shoulder hurt from the arm twist. His face was bleeding. His suit jacket was torn. Troy stayed silent. He thought about identifying himself as FBI. He decided against it. The mission was to document what happens when they think they're safe. This is what they do to people without federal badges. This is what they do when they think no one powerful is watching. 4 miles away at the FBI office, Supervisor Keller was watching the live feeds. She saw Troy's face hit the pavement. 8 agents were already getting ready. They were filing warrant applications. A U.S. attorney was on the phone. They decided to let it play out for maximum evidence, but they would step in before Troy spent the night in jail. The timeline was 6 hours. Type justice in the comments if you think Morrison just made the worst mistake of his life. They took Troy to Deerfield Police Station at 7:14 p.m. They put him in interrogation room 2. He was handcuffed to a table that was bolted to the floor. Then they left him alone for 1 hour and 23 minutes. This is a standard trick. make the person uncomfortable, make them anxious, make them willing to talk, but Troy just sat in silence. He didn't ask for water, he didn't demand anything, he just waited. At 8:37 p.m., Captain Reeves came in with Morrison. Reeves asked, "You want to tell us what that was about?" Troy asked, "Am I under arrest?" "You're being detained, pending investigation." "On what charge?" Reeves sighed, "Obstruction, resisting arrest. We can add more if you'd like." "I'd like to speak to a lawyer." Morrison said, "Lawyers cost money. You got money for a lawyer." Troy stayed silent. Reeves pushed some papers across the table. "Fill these out." Troy said, "After I speak to a lawyer." Reeves and Morrison left. Troy sat alone for another 2 hours and 14 minutes. At the FBI office, things were moving fast. A federal judge approved warrants at 9:03 p.m. The warrants let them seize all body camera footage, all dispatch recordings, and all internal affairs records about Morrison, Harris, and Reeves. They could take all evidence from Troy's arrest. They had authority to release Troy immediately. 8 agents got their briefing from Supervisor Keller. The U.S. attorney approved charges against Morrison. The charge was civil rights violations. Possible crimes included taking away rights under color of law, assault, and lying on police reports. The team left at 10:52 p.m. They would arrive at Deerfield Police at 11:47 p.m. At 10:51 p.m., Officer Patterson tried talking to Troy alone. He used the good cop approach. "Look, man, this doesn't have to be difficult. Morrison's got a temper, we all know it. Just tell us your side, we can work this out." Troy said, "I want a lawyer. We are trying to help you. Resisting arrest is serious, but if you cooperate." "I didn't resist arrest. I asked why I was being detained." "That's not what Morrison says." "I want a lawyer." Patterson left. Troy was alone again. Now here's what happened next. At 11:47 p.m., the station had 4 officers on duty. Captain Reeves was still there. Morrison was doing paperwork. Harris was in the break room. The front doors burst open. 8 FBI agents walked in. They wore windbreakers with FBI in yellow letters. Supervisor Keller was leading them. The desk sergeant, Officer Willis, stood up. "Can I help you?" Keller held up her badge and a federal warrant. "FBI. We are here for Special Agent Marcus Troy, and we have warrants for evidence related to case number 2020-4 CR 8847. The room went completely silent. Morrison was sitting at a desk 15 feet away. His face went white. Harris came out of the break room and froze. Reeves said, "Special Agent, what the hell are you talking about?" Keller asked, "Where is Agent Troy?" Willis stammered, "We don't have anyone by that." "The man Officer Morrison arrested at 6:51 p.m. Where is he?" "In interrogation, but he's not." Keller told 2 agents, "Get him out, now." The agents walked to interrogation room 2. They opened the door. Troy looked up. His face was bruised. His wrists were raw from the metal handcuffs. His suit was torn. Dried blood was on his cheek. Agent Sanders asked, "You okay?" Troy nodded, "I'm fine." Sanders unlocked the handcuffs. Troy stood up. He stretched his shoulder. You could see it hurt. Troy walked out into the main station area. Every officer was staring. Morrison's mouth was open. He couldn't speak. Harris looked sick. Reeves said, This is a setup. This is entrapment." Keller said, "No, Captain, this is accountability." She made an announcement. Marcus Troy, Special Agent, Federal Bureau of Investigation, Civil Rights Division. Every interaction tonight was recorded on federal equipment. Every word, every action, every assault. All of you are suspended right now pending federal investigation. Morrison said, "You're FBI, you set me up." Troy stayed calm. "I followed every traffic law. I asked politely why I was detained. You chose to punch through my window and drag me onto pavement. Nobody set you up. You did this to yourself." Harris put his head in his hands. Reeves said, "We need to call the union." Keller said, You can call whoever you want after we take the evidence. If you think police should face the same laws as everyone else, hit that subscribe button because this story gets even bigger. Agents spent the next 3 hours at the station. They took 47 body cameras. They took 12 dashcam hard drives. They took 8 years of internal affairs records. They found out Morrison's body camera was turned off on purpose before he walked up to Troy's car. They found out Harris forgot his camera. They found out Captain Reeves had dismissed 23 complaints against Morrison over 4 years. They found a pattern. 8 different officers had complaints that were dismissed without investigation. They found that Morrison had 2 prior excessive force cases. The city had paid settlements with agreements to stay quiet. They found the department had a policy requiring cameras to be on, but nobody enforced it. By 3 a.m., Deerfield Police Department was a crime scene. By sunrise, the story would be everywhere. October 18, 2024. At 12:47 a.m., nurse Sarah Chen uploaded her video to Twitter. Her caption said, "Deerfield police officer punches through window and assaults compliant driver for asking why he was stopped. This is insane." The clip was 2 minutes long. It showed the window punch and Troy being dragged out. By 1:52 a.m., the video had 847 views and 93 retweets. A local police accountability account shared it. At 3:15 a.m., David Martinez uploaded his Ring doorbell audio to Facebook. He wrote, "Witnessed excessive force tonight in my neighborhood. The man being arrested never raised his voice. The officer's rage was terrifying." By 6 a.m., Chen's video hit 12,400 views. Local news scanner accounts noticed FBI presence at Deerfield Police overnight. At 7:30 a.m., a Chicago Tribune reporter called Deerfield Police for comment. They said no comment. At 9 a.m., someone leaked to the reporter that the arrested man was an undercover FBI agent. Later they found out it was Officer Harris who leaked it. At 9:47 a.m., the Tribune published breaking news. The headline read, "FBI agent allegedly assaulted by Deerfield Police during traffic stop, federal investigation launched." By 11 a.m., Chen's video had 127,000 views. It was trending number 3 in Chicago. By 2 p.m., national outlets picked it up. CNN, NBC, and ABC all covered it. By midnight on October 18, the video had 1.8 million views across all platforms. The numbers were huge. Twitter had 1.2 million views, 94,000 retweets, and 312,000 likes. TikTok had 3.4 million views and 847,000 likes. Facebook had 890,000 views and 67,000 shares. Instagram had 1.1 million views. YouTube news compilations got 2.3 million views total. Reddit put it on the front page with 487,000 upvotes combined. People were angry. Top comments said things like, "This is what they do when they think cameras don't matter. Imagine what happens when there are no cameras." That got 94,000 likes. Another said, "An FBI agent. They assaulted an FBI agent and still thought they'd get away with it. The arrogance is unreal." That got 67,000 likes. Every local news station led with the story. CNN did a segment, MSNBC covered it, NBC and ABC ran it on their evening news. On October 19, the FBI released a statement. It said Special Agent Marcus Troy was doing an authorized undercover investigation into civil rights violations. The assault was under federal investigation. They would pursue all charges. The police union tried to defend Morrison. On October 19 at 3 p.m., they said Morrison followed department protocol during a high-risk traffic stop. The public got even more angry. On October 20, the city manager contradicted the union. They said the actions in the video don't reflect their values. All involved officers were on leave. On October 21, the union president went on local news. He claimed Troy entrapped the officers. That same evening, the FBI released a transcript. It showed Troy asking, "Can I ask why you pulled me over?" and Morrison responding with threats. The union went quiet after that. Morrison's wife tried to help on October 22. She posted on Facebook, "My husband is a good man who was doing his job. This is a witch hunt." The post got 340 shares with mostly negative comments. Morrison deleted all his social media by October 23, but it was too late. Screenshots already showed his history of pro-police posts and complaints about activists. Share this story if you think millions of people needed to see what really happens during traffic stops. The FBI spent 3 weeks investigating, October 18 to November 8. They assigned 6 agents full-time to the Deerfield case. They looked at 8 years of department records. They talked to 47 witnesses. They watched 340 hours of body camera footage. They studied 89 traffic stops Morrison did over 3 years. They found a pattern. 73% of Morrison's stops were people of color, but Deerfield was only 34% minority. All 11 excessive force complaints involved people of color. All were dismissed by Captain Reeves without real investigation. The city had settled 3 prior incidents with agreements to stay quiet. Total paid $187,000. The department had rules requiring body cameras to be on, but nobody enforced the rules. On November 12, 2024, federal charges were filed. Officer Morrison faced 4 felony counts. Taking away rights under color of law carried up to 10 years. Assault of a federal officer carried up to 8 years. Lying on a police report carried up to 5 years. Destroying evidence by turning off his camera carried up to 20 years. Officer Harris got 2 charges. Helping with the assault carried up to 10 years. Failure to step in and stop it carried up to 1 year. Captain Reeves got 2 charges. Blocking justice by dismissing complaints carried up to 5 years. Conspiracy to violate civil rights carried up to 10 years. On November 15, Troy filed a $10 million civil rights lawsuit. He sued the city, Morrison, Harris, Reeves, and the whole police department. Wait until you hear what the city had to do next. On November 20, the FBI said 17 officers should be fired based on what they found. The city manager had to act because of federal pressure and public anger. Morrison, Harris, and Reeves were terminated. 6 officers with dismissed excessive force complaints were fired. 5 officers who lied on reports were fired. 3 supervisors who didn't enforce the camera policy were fired. That's 17 total. 9 more officers were suspended pending review. They had to take civil rights training. They were moved to desk duty. In February 2025, the city settled the lawsuit. They didn't want to go to trial. The settlement was $10 million to Troy, another $2.4 million for lawyer fees. Total cost, $12.4 million. The city's insurance paid some, taxpayers paid the rest. The insurance company dropped their coverage after that. The settlement required policy changes. Body cameras must stay on at all times. An independent board with regular citizens would review cases. The city banned using qualified immunity as a defense in future cases. They had to do civil rights checks every 3 months. They couldn't hire officers who were fired for bad behavior from other departments. The criminal cases wrapped up between March and June 2025. Morrison pleaded guilty to 2 counts. He got 6 years in federal prison and 3 years supervised release. He can never work in law enforcement again. He filed for bankruptcy because of legal bills. Harris pleaded guilty to failure to step in. He got 1 year probation and 200 hours of community service. He can never work as a cop again. He helped the case against Morrison and Reeves to get a lighter sentence. Reeves went to trial. He was convicted on both counts. He got 4 years in federal prison. He lost his pension. That's rare, but the judge said the corruption pattern justified it. His appeal was denied. Morrison lost everything. His wife filed for divorce in January 2025. His house was foreclosed. He can never be a cop again. 4 other victims came forward with lawsuits against him. He declared bankruptcy, but still owes $340,000. The whole department suffered. Deerfield Po. Lice was put under 5-year federal watch. The Department of Justice monitors all their policies, training, and hiring. City insurance costs went up 400%. Nobody wanted to work there because of the reputation. 12 veteran officers quit rather than work under federal watch. The city budget took a massive hit. The $12.4 million settlement plus $3.2 million for federal compliance plus $1.8 million for new training and oversight equals $17.4 million over 3 years. Property taxes went up 8% to cover it. Morrison's lawyer tried one last thing before sentencing in April 2025. They released a statement. Officer Morrison regrets the escalation of the traffic stop and acknowledges his actions caused harm. It didn't work. The judge said Morrison showed no real regret. The passive language and lack of taking responsibility made the sentence worse. Let me know in the comments if you think Morrison's punishment was enough or if it should have been more. In May 2025, Troy held a press conference at the FBI Chicago office. 47 reporters showed up. Troy talked about his shoulder injury. He needed 8 weeks of physical therapy. He talked about the psychological impact. "I've investigated police violence for 12 years, he said. I thought I understood what victims go through. I didn't. Not until I felt my face hit that pavement and heard an officer scream, 'Stop resisting,' when I hadn't moved." He talked about nightmares, about being nervous when he sees patrol cars now. "I'm an FBI agent with resources, support, and authority, and it still affected me deeply. Imagine what it does to someone without those protections." He explained his thinking during the stop. "My training told me Morrison was violating my rights from the start, but I stayed silent because the mission required it. I needed to document what happens when officers think there are no consequences." What you saw in that video happens every day to people who can't fight back. They get told their rights don't matter. They get hurt for asking questions, and then they get blamed for it. I had federal equipment recording. Most victims have nothing but their word against an officer's report, and we've seen how departments treat those complaints. Troy had a message for regular people. If you've been told by police that you don't have rights, that you can't ask questions, that you just need to do what they say, that's wrong. You have Fourth Amendment rights. You have the right to know why you're being stopped. You have the right to say no to illegal searches. But I also know using those rights is dangerous when the person with the badge has a history of violence and a department that protects them. That shouldn't be true in America, but it is. He had a message for police too. "To the officers who watched Morrison punch through my window and said nothing, you're part of the problem. To the departments that throw out complaints without investigating, you're creating more Morrisons." Troy listed what he wants changed: end qualified immunity, independent oversight in every department, a national list of officers fired for bad behavior so they can't just move to the next town. Officers must step in when they see excessive force, body cameras that can't be turned off, real punishment for lying on reports. He thanked the witnesses who recorded and came forward. He thanked his FBI colleagues. He thanked his family for understanding why he had to stay quiet in that parking lot. His final quote hit hard. "Dignity isn't something officers give you, it's something you have as a human being. When someone in authority takes it from you, that's not law enforcement, that's abuse of power, and we don't accept that in this country." This case exposed something bigger. Between 2016 and 2024, over 85,000 law enforcement officers were investigated for bad behavior in the United States. Only 31% were fired. The Department of Justice found that 63% of excessive force complaints are dismissed without real investigation. Officers fired for bad behavior move to new departments 42% of the time. There's no national database to track them. Cities paid $3.2 billion in police misconduct settlements between 2015 and 2024. Taxpayers fund it. Officers rarely pay personally. Most victims don't have Troy's resources or authority to fight back. So let me ask you, should officers be able to hurt people for asking why they're being stopped? Should qualified immunity protect government officials who turn off cameras and lie on reports? Should taxpayers keep paying billions for police bad behavior while officers face no personal consequences? Because if we don't end qualified immunity, if we don't create independent oversight, if we don't build a national database tracking fired officers, then we're just waiting for the next Morrison, the next victim, the next $10 million settlement that your city pays while the officer moves to the next town and does it again. This happens right now, in your city, in departments that claim they're different, until cameras catch them. Then suddenly, it's just one bad apple and the officer feared for his safety and the investigation is ongoing and nothing changes. Comment below if you believe qualified immunity should be ended. If you think stories like this matter, hit that subscribe button. We're going to keep exposing these patterns. We're going to keep demanding better. We're going to keep fighting for accountability and transparency. This isn't just about one power-hungry officer or one FBI agent who had resources to fight back. It's about all of us. See you in the next one.